Now, I wanted to address this issue of the EHRC report response from the Jewish Voice for Labour, which you can see covered in Canary, which we had Canary on last week. Equality Commission steps in after Labour accuses nearly entire Jewish Voice for Labour board of anti-Semitism. And to speak about this, I'm going to bring on, he says he doesn't normally like coming on Sunday morning, so I'm lucky that he's come on. Mike Cushman, are you there?
Yeah, am I unmuted? Yes.
You are, yeah, and you're, yeah,
Hi.
there you are. Okay, so can you tell us what this response was about, and especially this definition of anti-Semitism that the Labour Party is using? I mean, how is that affecting people in Jewish Voice for Labour? Why is Jewish Voice for Labour finding that so many of its members are being suspended or expelled?
Okay, I mean, thanks for inviting us, Crispin. As a loyal Labour Party member, I obviously want to start by citing our leader, because that's what one should always do as a Labour Party member. And last month, when speaking to Labour Friends of Israel, Sir Keir Starmer said, "Under my leadership of the Labour Party, every Jew will count." A very fine statement. But there's only two possible explanations for that. Either he was a liar, or he's deciding that the members of Jewish Voice for Labour and other Jews in the Labour Party aren't Jews. He's deciding on our status as Jews. Now, I thought, to follow this up, I would look at the Labour Party rule book to look at the powers of the leader of the Labour Party. And to my surprise, I discovered that although they have many areas of authority, excommunication from Judaism was not one of them. But this obviously is something that he's taken to himself. Now, we've made 4 interventions so far on the EHRC report. Obviously, in the preparation of the report, we made 2 submissions, but since it's been published, we published a very close legal analysis of the document, which we published with Verso Self, which is a free ebook, which people can still download, how the EHRC got it so wrong, which really tears the whole document to pieces. And since then, we sent 3 submissions. Our latest one concentrates, as the EHRC asked us to do, on the action plan the party was told to implement in response to the flawed EHRC report. Now, people have asked us whether we really think we can get the HRC to change its mind. Now, I'm not optimistic that I will turn on the Today programme tomorrow morning to hear the chair of the HRC saying, "You are right, we were wrong, we should apologise." You know, would be nice, it would be appropriate, but it's not likely. What we do hope is that by constantly showing to them the holes in their whole approach to this subject, that we will marginally change their culture, that we will achieve some welcome climate change, maybe even 1.5 degrees, maybe not at the level that's going to create a flood, but will at least produce some progress. And the other thing we want to do in this is to publicize the issues, to stop the conspiracy of silence, which says the EHRC has declaimed the Labour Party has been declared to be anti-Semitic, end of story, get on with your life. So we've sent the submission to all of the members of the Labour NEC and to all members of the Parliamentary Labour Party, both MPs and peers, so that they cannot claim they do not know what's going on. Now, I'm not hopeful that MPs will read it. They get a lot to read, but maybe one of their research assistants that we're paying for will read it and will feed something through to them. Maybe, you know, we have to live in optimism. So what are we trying to say? We've got two main themes. One is to address the continued unfair targeting of Jewish members of the party. Now, I'm not trying to claim, and the document doesn't try to claim, that there is no such thing as a Jewish anti-Semite. But they are very rare. That in all the surveys done, there is not enough of them even to create the smallest blip on the survey. So suddenly, from these tiny, tiny fragments, we have a situation where the entire executive committee of Jewish Voice for Labour are accused of being anti-Semites, and very, very many of our Jewish members, far more in proportion than non-Jewish members of the Labour Party. Now, this is strange. It is very strange. And the only reason for this is that if you have a project of defending Israel, then Jews saying that Israel is not the perfect state, that it is an oppressor of the Palestinians, is painful, because Israel claims to be the state of all Jews. Well, it's not the state of this Jew. It's not the state of many Jews on this program this morning. And it is not the state of its Palestinian citizens, even more acutely. Secondly, we want to highlight the unfair procedures. Now, these are obviously not just things that address Jewish members. They address you, Crispin, they address Pamela, they address Chris, they address very many people. But one of the whole elements of the EHRC report was that the disciplinary procedures of the Labour Party were not fit for purpose. On that, we absolutely agree with them. But they are using these unfair processes to harass members of their party. So in detail, you know, do you want me to stop? Do you want me to keep on going?
No, carry on, please. Please carry on, please.
Okay. Is central to it is the Labour Party's failure to understand anti-Semitism. They claim this is the banner under which they are fighting. They take the IHRA document on anti-Semitism, and they don't even understand that document, poor as it is. They use it as not as a tool for investigation, but as a bludgeon, as a club hammer to hit down on people, to ignore what the IHRA definition itself says, that in any statement, you have to look at the context. You cannot just extract a word, put it on a piece of paper and say, this is anti-Semitic. You actually have to analyze it and make some sort of argument. Now, when I see notice of investigation, which very many people on this call would have sent to me and other people have, the first thing I say is they've cited some words of use or a blog post that you've liked, but they have not ever explained how they believe this to be anti-Semitic. Mere statement is not enough. There has to be a narrative, there has to be a legal argument or a legalistic argument that demonstrates how these words are anti-Semitic. And they have never, to my knowledge, ever done that. They fail to recognize that anti-Zionism is a protected philosophical belief under the Equality Act 2010, that they are breaching the Equality Act in the claim that they are fighting anti-Semitism. Now, That's incomprehensible and obviously something the HRC should, if it were a responsible organisation, pay attention to. The Labour Party has set up an advisory board, which it claims is meant to be done in consultation with Jews in this country. But they are very selective about who they've consulted. They've not consulted anybody who is critical of Israel, who believes that Israel is an oppressive apartheid state. Now, if you want, we are not a majority, we are a minority, I don't deny that, but we are a minority who are entitled to be heard and entitled to be represented. And lack of representation is a destruction of democracy. Now, many of us have given up belief in Labour Party democracy. We've given up belief in the Labour Party's ability to follow its own rule book. And this is a fight that we are determined to continue. We've set up a crowd fund for our work on the Labour Party Advisory Board. We hope that people will donate so that we and our lawyers can continue to fight that. We have a very simple URL, which I will read out to people, www.is.gd/JVL EHRC3. Just type that into your browser and you'll get to our crowdfunder. So I'll say that again, www.is.gd/JVL EHRC3. And I hope the money will come pouring in. Thank you for inviting me. I'd be really pleased to answer any questions.
Well, we won't have questions now, but we will continue this discussion in future shows, and also we'll be promoting your crowdfunder, and because we've got a lot to do in the next hour. But thank you for coming on Sunday. What would it be like?
Can I just add my Margaret Hodge story?
Oh, go on then. As long as it's not libelous.
No, it's not. As all educators, we celebrate our successes and we try to hide our failures. When I was young and working in adult education, and Labour regained control of Islington Council in the mid-70s from a brief control by the Conservatives, I set up a training course for all the new Labour councillors, including, as was then Margaret Watson, now Margaret Hodge. And obviously I failed, and I'm sorry, and I apologise.
Thank you, Mike, for coming on.